The Department of Justice now says it's looking into the validity of that bombshell letter that Epstein allegedly wrote days before he died, where he implicated Donald Trump. In a new statement, the Department of Justice said that they're currently looking into the validity of this alleged letter from Epstein to Larry Nassar, and we will follow up as soon as possible. In the meantime, three facts stand out. Of course, they're running cover for Donald Trump. The postmark on the envelope is Virginia, not New York, where Epstein was jailed at the time. The return address listed the wrong jail where Epstein was held and did not include his inmate number, which is required for outgoing mail. The envelope was processed 3 days after his death. Now, it's weird that they're just now looking into the validity of this very explosive letter, but these facts they provided do not debunk its authenticity. For example, the postmark on the envelope from Virginia is completely normal. Inmate mail goes through specialized processing centers, and those centers can be located elsewhere. So hypothetically, this center was in Virginia, and that's why it was postmarked there. And this could just be an error on Epstein's part, and mail is often processed days after in prison from when it was actually written, so this is not surprising. So we'll see what they say on the validity, but to me it seems like they're running cover for Donald Trump again, because this letter is pretty bad for him.
Folks, a letter surfaces years later. It's written behind bars. It's sent to someone already convicted. It references power, access, and shared knowledge, not as evidence, not as charges, just words on paper. And before anyone explains it away, the public sees it first. And once people see it, they won't see it. All right, folks, let's slow this down and walk carefully through what's actually happening. The Justice Department has released a new batch of documents tied to the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. Among them is a previously unseen jailhouse letter, allegedly written by Epstein and addressed to Larry Nassar. That single document, combined with newly revealed subpoenas and older flight records, has triggered intense reactions across media, survivor communities, and online platforms. In this breakdown, folks, you're going to see three things: what people expected these releases to clarify, what they actually revealed, and how the public reacted, emotionally, skeptically, and critically. You'll hear official statements, you'll hear verified reporting, and you'll hear how the audience itself is responding. If you appreciate calm breakdowns that let facts speak, subscribe to Breaking Supporters. Let's start with expectations. The Justice Department warned ahead of time that some documents could include unverified or sensational claims. The implication was clear: context would matter, and references would not equal accusations. The public expectation was that these releases would mostly confirm what was already known: timelines, procedural details, and background records, without fundamentally shifting the narrative. Especially regarding public figures, the expectation was clarity. No charges, no new allegations, no legal conclusions.
Our president shares our love of young, nubile girls. The latest in the Epstein file dump from last night. This is the last letter Epstein allegedly wrote while alive to Larry Nassar. Yeah, the gymnastics Larry Nassar. He said, our president shares our love of young nubile girls. When a young beauty walked by, he'd love to grab snatch. Whereas we ended up snatching grub in the mess halls of the system. Life is unfair. Dear Ellen, yours, J. Epstein. So if the young girls and women believing their word wasn't enough, does this convince you that Trump belongs in the mess halls of the system?
That was the expectation, folks. This is the reality. Instead, the release included a disturbing jailhouse letter written by Epstein to another convicted sex offender, postmarked days after Epstein's death. The language was graphic. The implication was unsettling, and the reference to a sitting president triggered immediate institutional responses. At the same time, newly surfaced documents revealed a previously unknown 2021 subpoena to Mar-a-Lago connected to the Ghislaine Maxwell investigation. What was framed as administrative disclosure suddenly felt emotionally explosive, even without legal accusati. Ons attached. Let's stay grounded in what's verifiable, folks. Receipt 1. Reporters confirmed the letter had been referenced for years, but never publicly released until now. Receipt 2. The DOJ publicly stated that claims involving the president within the documents were unfounded and false, framing the release defensively from the outset. Receipt 3. A subpoena issued in October 2021 sought employment records tied to the Maxwell case, a detail not previously known. Receipt 4. Flight records and correspondence from the 1990s re-entered the public conversation, predating Epstein's federal prosecution. Receipt 5. Survivor voices responded with caution, emphasizing that verified facts matter, but also that patterns and proximity cannot be ignored emotionally, even if they don't establish guilt. No verdicts here, folks. Just timelines, NTS, and reactions. And folks, this is where the temperature spikes. The most engaged public reactions don't focus on legal nuance, they focus on trust. One of the most replied to comments asked, Larry Nassar, "Do all the pedophiles in the US know each other?" That comment alone generated over 60 replies, reflecting shock at the connection itself. Another widely shared response said, "Their little secrets are not so secret anymore. Your move, America." That line echoed a broader sentiment. That disclosure, not prosecution, is what people are reacting to. Several high-engagement comments criticized the Justice Department directly. One read, "The DOJ now looks like the Department of Pedophile Protection." Another added, "That statement sounds like it came straight from the subject himself." Others focused on repetition and proximity rather than accusations. One comment with over 100 replies stated, "Nobody gets on that plane 8 times and stays ignorant of what's going on." There were also historical comparisons. Multiple commenters referenced past scandals, with remarks like, "Nixon was impeached for less," and "Watergate looks small compared to this." Not all reactions were identical. Some expressed exhaustion rather than outrage, saying nothing will happen regardless. Others centered sympathy on victims, noting that justice feels delayed or incomplete. Across thousands of replies, folks, the pattern isn't agreement, it's distrust. Distrust of institutions. Distrust of redaction. Distrust of explanations. So let me ask you folks, when disturbing material is released without legal conclusions, how should the public process it? At what point does institutional caution begin to feel like protection? How much weight should emotional reaction carry alongside verified facts? What responsibility do agencies have when releasing documents that can't be fully contextualized? And how should survivor voices shape how these records are interpreted? I want to hear how you're thinking this through. Folks, this story is still unfolding. More documents are being reviewed. More context is emerging. And public reaction continues to evolve in real time. What we're watching isn't a verdict, it's a trust test. Between institutions and the public. Between transparency and caution. Between expectation and reality. No conclusions drawn here. No sides assigned. Just a record of what was released, how it landed, and why it matters. Here on Breaking Supporters, folks, we track what people expect and what actually happens. If you value that approach, subscribe and stay with us as the documents and the reactions continue to unfold.